You jerk. Chatty, it sucks.
This is Chris. I'm stuck in the elevator.
There's been a crime afoot.
Yep, this is gonna be a lawsuit.
Okay, I think I'll take the stairs after that.
Gangbangers, we'll say, is La Raza.
You're refusing to wear a mask?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, what's your job duty? We're stepping up.
Man?
Did she lock us in here? Man, this lady just locked us inside of a vault. Golly.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Frauditor Roundup with Sheriff Wyatt, a moron. Want to welcome you back. Hope my channel continue to shrink by watching my videos, sharing my videos, commenting on my videos. Turn on that notification bell. Turn on all the notifications. Take that there like button, like it, dislike it. Next time it's not paying attention, go into its car, add a jumper from the brake fuse to the horn fuse. That way, every time it hits the brakes, like at busy intersections, the horn starts blaring. So I'm going to do something just a little bit different today. If you watch my channel, you know I don't claim to be no fancy big city lawyer. I'm just an old chunk of coal wanting to make fun of some frauditors. So who we encounter on my page are people that don't know what they're talking about. So for change, we're going to take a look at a video by real attorney Patrick Darcy. His channel name is Hoya Lawyer. Boy, that is fun to say. He's going to break down the latest Chille de Castro phone call from jail. And in retrospect, you're going to see just how much Chille doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't know basic law, and is doing nothing but arguing feelings. And Counselor Darcy is going to deliver the facts. So let's watch him, and let's round us up a frauditor.
Let's talk about Chille's phone call. Let's just get right to it. I got the Nevada revised statutes. You know how I am. I think some of his call actually was a crime, but it'll be ultimately determined by a court. I think he could be indicted for what he did. You see, telling somebody to send all this stuff to the court is not petitioning. Petitioning has a very well-defined meaning. Recalling a judge, voter referendums, those are petitioning. Judge Zimmerman is out of the case because it was appealed. She doesn't have jurisdiction. That's with the appellate court, district court. So when Chille tells you to send 100,000 petitions to Judge Zimmerman, he's sending it to the person that has the least amount of control over this case because she has no control over it. She already tried the case. She already made her decision. There's nothing that's going to be changed there. Wouldn't it make you wonder about how much he really understands about the court system when he's telling you to, in my book, this looks like targeting, okay? I'm told there was call flooding going down there, that people are mailing a lot of shit to the courthouse. Listen, you're talking about a judge here, okay? And if the judge has the reactions that are within the statute, Chille could wind up getting indicted because Chille used a phone system and then broadcasted it through the internet as defined under the NRS. And you know what that does? It takes it from a simple misdemeanor with a 6-month penalty to 1 to 5 years of prison time. And for those people who want to send these petitions, which are not petitions, to the judge, and if she has a very bad reaction to it, they may just decide to tag the followers with aiding and abetting criminal liability and wind up giving them the same sentences. And then you could be in jail with him.
Oh boy, Mr. Andrew Gilblom. Not a good idea to take advice from someone who don't know what they're talking about.
There is nothing to be gained from this, and it is unlawful behavior in my book. It is outright criminal harassment. The federal cyber stalking statute, I got it here. This would fit it. You know, if she feels intimidated, if she feels threatened, if she feels uneasy, unsafe, you know, she could very well ask a grand jury to be impaneled and indict Chille on it and then start tagging the people who did it. And believe me, you're not so anonymous on the internet. I've dragged many people out from behind their keyboards right into a courtroom. If you know how to do it, you know how to do it. I would suggest that you don't do this. Let's watch the video. It says to do an act, any act which is intended, has to be intent, to substantially harm the person threatened, threats are one thing, or any other person with respect to his or her physical or mental health or safety. So now we get into a state of mind. What about the recipient of this? And a conjunction means add it. B, the person by words or conduct, that would be Chille, places the person receiving the threat in reasonable fear that the threat will be carried out. For the first offense, a misdemeanor. This is where things get a little bit dicey. A person who commits the crime of stalking, notice it's a criminal offense, with the use of an internet or network site, electronic mail, text messaging, or any other similar means of communication to publish, distribute information in a manner that substantially increases the risk of harm or violence to the person, is now liable under a category C felony. Except as otherwise provided, which means despite what else it may say, a criminal penalty provided for in this section may be imposed in addition to any penalty that may be imposed for any other criminal offense. So this is not in lieu of, this is on top of. We violated there. Here's the website, is an internet, I mean, super vague. Category C felony is for which a court shall sentence a convicted person to imprisonment at least a year, not more than 5 years, unless a greater fine is authorized, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's the federal cyber stalking statute. Anyone with the intent, willful, it's an intent, to harass, intimidate, or place under surveillance with the intent to injure, harass, or intimidate, uses the mail. Oh, isn't that what he said? Any interactive computer service, that's defined by the Federal Wiretap Act to include just about anything that's electronic. Electronic communication servers, electronic communication of interstate commerce, certainly YouTube and everywhere else, engage in a course of conduct that causes, attempts to cause. Doesn't necessarily mean that it did. That's what I was telling you. They don't have to suffer from emotional distress or would reasonably expect it to cause substantial emotional distress, shall be punished under this section, which is up to 5 years and $250,000. I gave you guys all the cases on that. So let's now take a look at the rest of this.
This report is my verbal op-ed. Judge.
See, by calling it op-ed, he's trying to act like it's a protected opinion, but opinions aren't protected. If you look at the Milkovich decision.
Ann Zimmerman, this message is to you. Release me from this jail.
Okay, this shows a fundamental misunderstanding of civil procedure and constitutional law. When the case is finished, she loses jurisdiction to even hear anything. You can't just plead for her to do this because there's no authority for her to be able to do this, or any judge. This isn't a political prisoner thing, and I think he's confused about that.
Confused? You know, I'm going to be a little bit less stately than Counselor Darcy and say it's more like ignorant.
Please.
The please, he's trying to think that it somehow mitigates against the possible implied threats here. Let's take a look.
I've taken responsibility publicly and agreed with my family, friends, and colleagues that my behavior in court was inappropriate.
Inappropriate is an understatement. It's what we call a euphemism.
For this reason, I say to Judge Ann Zimmerman now, release me from this jail.
Okay, that goes against the rule of law because there isn't, if there was a way to release you, Chille, through the court system, well, you've already tried twice and you've lost both times. That was the rule of law. You're not asking for rule of law here.
Well then, Judge Ann Zimmerman's principles are inconsistent and out of bounds.
Okay, this could be considered a legitimate criticism in an op-ed piece. You know, those that run for public office, it's the Sam Yorty decision here in California. You better be ready to take a lot of slings and arrows, but there are limits to those slings and arrows.
We have identified a dozen cases that went back to a bench trial. A bench trial means that Judge Zimmerman is the judge, jury, and executioner.
Okay, when you say she's an executioner, you're kind of now starting to lose credibility. She's not an executioner, okay? She's the judge. And you, as a constitutional law scholar, waived your right to a jury trial, and you waived it. And you had a right to a trial by jury, and you waived it. You made the tactical decision to have the entire thing heard by one fact finder. You did that.
Boy, I wish some of Chille's supporters could watch this. But that's the problem today. No one's open-minded enough to admit that they've been wrong.
So far, we have 3 exact cases that are the same as my charges, the same NRS codes. In the past year, this judge has given these 3 defendants impulse training classes, and then the misdemeanor would fall off their record.
Boy, this is a great point by Counselor Darcy. They may be the same charges, but what are the odds that the facts are the exact same? They ain't.
Okay, same exact facts, huh, Chille?
And Zimmerman, release me from this jail at once, please.
Again, there's no rule of law that allows that.
Why would the judge show obvious bias and give me such an unfair and harsh sentence?
Now, I agree. I thought the sentence was harsh. It was more than I was expecting. And I warned everybody months ago that he could be convicted and then probably convicted on both counts, and they would string him together. I didn't think 6 months. I did not expect that. Maybe the judge got a little irritated with him when he was giving her the thumbs up about how he hates all cops.
What can you do about it? First, because Zimmerman is not her maiden name.
This is really out of bounds now. This, to me, gets into the line of doxing. You don't need to go into her personal life at all. In fact, I think you really crossed the line here.
Zimmerman is the name of the Las Vegas Metro Police Lieutenant she married over 2 decades ago. Even after he divorced her, she kept the last name, meaning Judge Zimmerman loves cops, and I do not.
Well, whose fault is that one? You never disqualified this judge. You allowed this judge to hear all of your pretrial motions. You allowed this judge to be the judge of your case. Now you're complaining that she's biased?
I know I said this, but I think it's worth repeating. Listen to what Chille is saying. It's all feelings, no facts.
Second, what can you do about it? You can petition her and petition the court to release me now. I know for a fact that thousands of you, good and patriotic Americans, have called, emailed, and sent your petition to the court in the form of a letter asking.
Okay, now the mail service is involved, and you might think as a supporter, you're doing something wonderful by voicing your support for him. But let's say they get 25,000 letters. That is going to be an immense burden on the court, opening it, reading it, scanning it, dealing with it. And then they may just think that you're harassing her because you don't like the decision. And suddenly these other statutes come to life. You know, there's ways to deal with this without making yourself susceptible to additional criminal charges. Like, how about contempt of court?
And demanding that I am released from this dungeon. Thank you.
See, the reason that he can't do this is there's no law that provides for this. So now this sounds the opposite of him trying to uphold the law. This sounds like anarchy.
Yep, that would be anarchy. But remember, Chille has said DUI should not be illegal, handcuffs should not be used, and that people should not go to jail unless there's a victim or restitution due.
But we have not done enough. We, you and me, have a First Amendment right to petition our government
Yes.
and its officials when they have lost their virtue and broken their principles.
Yeah, that's actually true. There is a procedure for that, for example, and also recall people. You can also vote them out of office. In California here, we voted out 3 Supreme Court justices because they would never uphold the death penalty. Under any circumstance, they found reasons not to. The people spoke. That is petitioning. This is not petitioning.
We have not petitioned them enough. It is our only recourse to redress a clear and biased judge who's gone out.
The only, notice the word only, that means there's no other ways to do this. That's flat out wrong. He's wrong.
Out of her reason and purpose to jail a nonviolent journalist. Zimmerman has behaved like a monarch or a queen in a despotic government.
Not true. She's actually carrying out the will of the people of the state of Nevada as set forth by the legislature.
Boy, I was tickled pink when I heard Mr. Darcy say that. I made that same point yesterday. Little old me, recognizing that a judge is not carrying out her feelings, but what the legislature has laid forward.
To this by changing the laws, then the judges have to uphold the law as changed, because the trial court has to follow existing law. You get a chance at the appellate court, they can interpret it, but it's not Judge Zimmerman. She doesn't do that.
Like a rogue judge in an aristocratic government. We have a republic government that is supposed to be navigated by.
Actually, you said that wrong. It's I hear people say this is a democracy. No, it is not. It's a constitutional republic. Learn the difference.
By objective law, not by personal bias, by a judge who was the wife of a cop. Instead of acting as a custodian of justice, she has behaved like an obvious tyrant.
Okay, now we're getting into contempt of court, and this is bad. You get more time.
Petition her and demand that she release me from this dungeon immediately, swiftly, and please. Petition the court in the tens of thousands because it is the only recourse that we, the people, have. Judge Zimmerman.
In the tens of thousands, there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way. This is the wrong way. You're crossing into contempt, harassment, and possibly criminal charges. And another word for the followers, it's called aiding and abetting. That person was just as liable. It doesn't sound like an innocent thing here that he's asking. He's asking all of you almost as a mob to just descend on the courthouse.
The only way you will be able to restore the word honor to your name is by releasing me now.
That is, in my book, contempt of court. It has nothing to do with her honor. Like I said, she's already lost jurisdiction to hear this case. It's already in front of Judge Levitt now.
You've lost integrity. I do not believe.
Lost integrity, that gets into contempt. You could say things like the court got it wrong, but you can't say they've lost their integrity.
You have the right to search me illegally. I believe that you.
No, that just shows a fundamental.
You violated my constitutional rights, as did the bailiff under your directives when he.
Oh, so anyway, when you walk into a courtroom, there's signs up in front of the building that say you consent to search. You've consented to search. And then when you're in a courtroom, the judge has all kinds of power to implement order, control, and safety and security. And she knew that you've admitted to recording during court sessions. And she had that rule for everyone. Surrender your phones to the marshal and you can watch. Otherwise, you got to go. That's not an illegal search and seizure at all. Show me the case law on that one. You can't.
Perhaps it is because you, Judge Zimmerman, needs impulse training classes.
Okay, we're getting back into contempt again.
This is not an apology. I said I'm sorry for hurling slurs in court and calling the bailiff a pig, even if he was behaving like one.
Listen, I'm a farmer. I've been around pigs my entire life. Not once has one tried to seize my cell phone. Okay, once, in '02, when I was slow to fill a trough.
The courtroom is supposed to be a place where the insults cease.
Where the insults cease, and calling a cop a pig, that's not an insult? It looks to me like he's reading something. In other words, he's had time to think about it, which is even worse.
Petition her and petition this court. Send in your petition via U.S. Postal Service.
Bringing in the U.S. mail is usually a bad idea. By the way, the U.S. mail has the first and original law enforcement agency, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. And they are really good at convicting people who mess with the U.S. laws regarding the mail. That Postal Inspection Service, Benjamin Franklin made them the very first federal police force to protect the mail. You bring this in, if it contains a threat, if it's adjudicated to be a threat, if it's deemed to be harassment, who knows? You might be facing separate federal charges again for something else.
Do not be rude, crass, or threatening. Hold on to your virtue and your self-respect that Judge Zimmerman lost when she put a nonviolent journalist, a champion of our civil liberties, in jail. I do not wish Judge Zimmerman fear or harm. No.
I do not wish it. Okay, so here's hey, don't blame me. I only shot my gun into a train that was going by. I didn't mean to kill anybody. Didn't mean to hit anybody, but hey, if it happens, it wasn't my fault. You're igniting the match, Chille. And from what I've been told, lots of mail have already hit the courthouse and call flooding is going down. This is not legitimate activity. This is pure-born harassment. And there's going to be a lot of people who think that maybe they're anonymous behind their keyboard and think it's funny. You wouldn't believe how simple it is to unmask people. I've unmasked many and dragged them kicking and screaming into a courtroom.
No, I do not. I want her to live every breath of her life where she sees the public has turned against her.
Oh, so that's not trying to instill fear into somebody? That's not threatening somebody? That's not affecting their mental health and safety? I'm saying right now, that to me is a clear threat. You just signed your name to it.
I want her to witness the side-eye sneer in every grocery store clerk, in every
Yeah, that's that to me is not only contempt of court, that's stalking now.
market, in every
It's not my decision. I'm just offering my opinion, which has been right about just about everything involving Chille de Castro.
chance encounter, whether it be the dog groomer or the car wash. She will be the face of injustice, the living embodiment of tyranny. Judge Zimmerman at sentencing said to me that I hate cops. I thought it was my right to hate cops if I want to.
It is your right to hate cops. It's the way you go about it that's the problem.
If this is true or not, she said it and then jailed you, the cop.
I love the music in the background. It's supposed to move me. It does. It's more like a bowel movement. You can make that argument, but I would just say that she had a law in front of her, two of them, that allowed her to jail you, and then you broke the law, got busted for it, and she gave you the mid-range sentences, so she could have given you double the time.
Judge Zimmerman, how many hours of my videos did you watch before you met me in court?
I would say she definitely watched your videos because of what she said when she sentenced you and what she said before court started. But then again, you put those videos out for people to watch. I warned people when I talked about the federal cyber stalking statute that one thing that prosecutors are going to do is they're going to look at your videos to show pattern and knowledge and conduct and everything else. And that's kind of what she said when she says about your behavior. That's pattern, okay? I warned about all of this.
My appeal bond hearing, Judge Zimmerman said that my attitude has not changed.
I think she's right.
I say now petition her, petition the court, release me now. 100,000 petitions. Send in your patriotic, respectful, detailed petition to Judge Ann Zimmerman. On the fold where you seal the envelope, write the words, release de Castro in the name of justice. 100,000 petitions is our goal.
Yeah, tying up the phone lines, overwhelming the mailroom staff with tons and tons of letters. Sure one way to keep a court running efficiently, right? I mean, it's not like there's anything of consequence happening in those courthouses.
Judge Zimmerman, the only way to restore any honor to your name is to release me now with time served. It's a fact that I will sue you. If you do not have me killed in here, then when
Okay, so we're going off the deep end again. You can sue her all you want. Just you can sue the prosecutors that you threaten. They all have full immunity while they're working in their job. So that will be probably anti-slapped.
I leave this jail, I will in fact sue you. I do not deserve to be here. However, I will not do anything illegal, and I'm not asking
Yeah, you just said that, but that's, in my opinion, not what you're doing.
you in any way, shape, or form to step out of bounds, fringe, and lawless. Be beyond reproach in your petition. Write nicely and print it out. Explain clear this cop-loving judge bias and her indefensible sentencing. We'll post both in the Las Vegas Review and the Sun when all the data scraping is complete.
Great, now you've guaranteed to make this a public issue, which means that anybody you sue, because you claim defamed them, will be able to anti-slap your ass immediately.
She broke her principles and she lost her virtue. Write it out, write it nicely, write it clear, write it clean. Just write it, put it in the mail, and send it.
So he wants you to write the words it. So just put the word it. He said write it. Write it.
I say to you this. I've been quiet, respectful, and shown deference.
Now what you say? Bullshit. Y'all say what? Bullshit. Stepped in what? All the hell you say?
I don't really believe any of that.
Upon leaving this jail, should I live through this, I will file a petition against the Clark County Detention Center for clearly cheating me and violating my civil rights. Nowhere in the Clark County Detention Center handbook does it read the words, no live streaming. Once again,
Well, if there isn't a rule against it now, you've just proven why there needs to be one. I agree completely that our civil liberties and our rights are completely under attack all the time now, and we must be vigilant. But I don't do it this way. Yeah, I agree. This isn't violence. No one said it is, but that doesn't change the fact that it looks to me to be outright harassment.
to my loyal people and supporters, you should hear from me always within 48 hours. Always. Please, unless you do not hear from me, let the jailers be. Outside of the
Let the jailers be. Doesn't that sound like more harassment to them?
unlawful searched me and demoralized me by looking at my backside. Outside of that, each individual guard has treated me fairly and within their policies.
Then why are you suing them?
I would like to thank them for doing that. I'd like my people to focus on petitioning the court for my release. We have another judge, Judge Michelle Levitt, who will be hearing my case on July 10th. Judges must be treated with respect and deference. Judges must be petitioned and told that this is wrong. I should be released immediately. The time served.
And that's where the video ends. So I want to thank my members, Susan Hobbins, Yvonne Cush Queen, Aaron Laughlin, Greg Jonick, and Lisa B. in Hawaii. Thank you much. And I did see this video first on Frauditer Troll's channel. I'll leave a link to his video and a link to Patrick Darcy's page. Go on and show him some love. Well, I can tell by that sundial it's time to say goodnight. Put little beans on the fire. A little dirty martini on ice. And as always, cuddle up with a clean shirt and a dirty woman. Anyway, good night. I bid you adieu.